Hi, Christy here with the CC Yoga. Welcome to tonight's yoga session, Tuesday night, all levels yoga with me, Christy Lesher with the CC Yoga. Happy to have you with us again if you're joining during the live session or catching the recording sometime later. Welcome. We'll be moving tonight in the direction of we're thinking about shoulder integration, shoulder strength, shoulder integration. Sometimes I think about these focus areas as body part intelligence. Sometimes I talk about, if you've been in my live classes, back when we used to do those sorts of things, I would talk about how our feet have become less intelligent than they used to be because we wear shoes all the time, right? So our feet are always protected by the soles of our shoe. And so we lose some of our foot sole intelligence, which then informs a lot of the rest of the line of the back body. So tonight I'm kind of been interested in shoulder intelligence, which is awareness, integration into the body, position in different poses, and keeping alignment right, especially when we're in weight-bearing poses like downward facing dog. So that'll be kind of the feature pose tonight. We'll be in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, a couple times. The first time we go there will be sort of a litmus test. We're just curious what the pose feels like tonight, or at this moment in time, and what are the shoulders doing and how do they feel and what is their position. And then we'll take some other poses to gain some awareness around our shoulder strength and mobility, and then pull that thread back into downward facing dog, with hopefully more awareness and more shoulder intelligence and integration than our first take. So that's where we're headed. If at the end of class you're able, I'll just say this again at the top of class, and then we can jump in. If at the end of the class you're able to pop on over to the ccinstitute.org website, that's the one in Rochester, New York, right? There's a couple out there. But find ccinstitute.org. It has dashes in the name of the website. We would love a donation if you're enjoying these classes. We'll have a couple more Tuesday night classes through the rest of September. And if you're local in Rochester, there are some in-person classes happening at the Institute, outdoor yoga and other options. So check the website and pre-register if you want to do something in person and you're in the Rochester area. All right, I'm gonna back up to my mat. We'll start with breath, and then we will move into our a shoulder exploration and kind of gaining that level of awareness and integration into our poses tonight. So here we go. So I have my typical setup. I've got my block with my blanket for my seat. So find your seat. And if you have not yet at home found a suitable strap, yoga strap or belt or replacement, right, a stand-in for this prop that we would use in the studio, I'd encourage you to find one before we get too far into the session. So if that means that you trot off away from the camera for a minute and you go find something, right, an actual belt or a necktie or a scarf, anything that could be used as a stand-in for a yoga strap. If you haven't done that yet while we've been practicing together on Facebook Live, I'd encourage you to go do that now while we get settled into breath. It will kind of be a little bit of a feature for a couple movements through our shoulder work once we get going. But for now, I'm gonna come to my seat, and if you're off to find a strap, just come on in, come back and come to your seat and join right in with our breath work But come and find that seat when you can, when you're ready. And sit, so the sitting bones, right, hopefully you were with, if you've been with me, you know the importance the emphasis I place on a bit of an elevated seat. So those sitting bones have something to sit into, and then we can find this place where the knees kind of cascade away from the body, and we can find ourselves in this more upright position, right, with a bit more access for the breath. So go ahead and find that seat, get settled, find that grounding through the sitting bones into your seat. And then if it helps for your focus on your breath, go ahead, you can close your eyes and just start to softly stream the breath through the nose, right? Nice, easy breath, right? No agenda to start, just the breath, the inhale and the exhale, just as it is in the body, without any other agenda or other layer. Stream the breath through the nose. The hands can rest on the thighs. Either palms up or palms down. It's really to your preference how the hands lay. And just use this moment to transition, right? These are transitional breaths to take us away from everything that preceded this moment in our day up to this moment, and holding off whatever is going to follow, right? So one of the components of breathwork in yoga is to bring us right into this now moment, into this atha now. So soften the abdominals. See if you can let go of any gripping or holding in the thighs, right? So everything is as soft as it can be. And predominantly the skeletal structure is doing its job and gravity is holding you in place with minimal muscular effort. And then for tonight's practice, we're just going to move the breath to this even inhale, exhale. We're going to see if we can capture how long the inhale breath comes in, that side of the breath. So on your next inhale, take an observation of how many seconds the inhale lasts. Maybe it's 3 or 4 seconds. And then see if the exhale can come to meet that length and duration. So often the exhale is shorter and a bit of an afterthought or more shallow. So we want to see if that exhale and inhale can even themselves out on the scale. And as much as we may weigh and emphasize the inhale coming in, then when the exhale goes, that it lasts that same time, maybe 3 or 4 beats, or if you're starting to think about elongating the breath even a little bit more, maybe it's 4 or 5 seconds for the inhale and the exhale. And just be in this place of even breath, even-sided breath. And as you carry along that path, just do a double check on the face, right? We want to make sure that the palate is soft in the back of the throat, the nasal passage is open and unrestricted, and the inhale is coming into this nice, soft, open place. And the exhale has a chance to leave out that same passageway. Easy, unobstructed, and unrestricted. And the first little element I would invite, there's a couple more breath cycles here, as we're thinking about shoulder orientation and integration, is to just observe where the shoulders have fallen naturally. It may be natural that the shoulders are more on the front side of the body because the arms, the hands have come forward onto the thighs. And so I would just invite you, if that is the setup that you find in your own body, on your next inhale, use the upward motion of that breath to set the shoulders back a bit. So it comes a bit from the sternum lifting and spreading the collarbones. In the inhale, we find this left and right motion of the shoulders to the left and right sides of the body. And then as you exhale, leave the shoulders there. Let them stay in that more up and open position instead of rounding and closed and hooded. As we draw this breath practice to a close, on your next exhale, let that breath work. If you've evened out your inhale and exhale, you can kind of set that aside and just let the breath return to its natural, steady state. Though we still are interested in the positioning of the shoulders, right? Instead of this rounded forward position, we've taken this nice length on the front body and found this place where the shoulders have found their sides. They found the side body. You can, if you had closed your eyes, you can softly and take your time, slowly open the eyes. And then if you were sitting cross-legged, you can use your hands to draw in those knees, help the legs come back in, extend the legs out, come down off of that seat. I'm going to take my props that I was sitting on off of the mat, set them to one side. And we're going to come right away to our mats. As I mentioned, if you were here at the very tippy top of the hour, we're going to start with a downward dog. We're not going to do any other prep. We're just going to take a child's pose to find our length on our mat, and then we're going to pop up into downward facing dog, and we're going to observe, right? The point of tonight's class is, where are my shoulders and what are they doing in the pose? So that's where our mind is going to be as we go up and back into downward facing dog. So come to face your mat. Extend the arms, extend forward. Press yourself back. This is just a moment, right, to find your space on the mat, and then instantly go ahead, turn the toes to the mat and press up and back into downward facing dog, right? So we haven't done hamstring stretches or spinal waves, but this is just a checkpoint. So we're less interested in what's happening through the legs, but we're curious about the arms and the shoulders. So I'm going to face the camera for a second because what we're interested in is like what's happening in the shoulders. Is there this place where the arms come in and they're really close and we have very little space between our arms and our ears? Or is there a little more space there, a little bit more grounding through the shoulders, integration into the body? It's something that we're going to work on and cultivate tonight. So this is just to capture this information, right? Kind of like a Polaroid at the beginning of class. Go ahead, bend the knees. Both knees down to the mat softly. And go ahead, take a break. So if you were up in downward dog and you couldn't see your camera, what I was showing was, right, are we in this place with downward dog? I'm going to come a little closer. Are we in this place in downward dog where there's no space, right? The ears are right against the arms and the shoulders are hunched up Or are we in a place where the shoulders are integrated into the back body? And what that looks like on the back body is we go from this to this. We retract, we retrace the arms back into their sockets. So we're going to be working on that through the night. So the first move that we're interested in is this shoulder retraction. So we're going to use this strap. So I have my strap looped and I've measured it so it's my shoulder distance. So I've adjusted my loop so it's as wide when I stretch the strap between my fingers, right? It's as wide as my shoulder girth. And so I make an adjustment, and if you have any shoulder issues going on, you might go a little wider so you have a little more room, so you're more of a V, which is I would always err on the side of more space in your shoulders than less. So I'm going to take my strap and stretch it between my forearms. So the strap is on my forearm, and I'm stretching the strap. I'm going to go to my mat, and I'm going to lay back. And this is just an exercise to get information from the floor. We'll do the same thing standing in a moment, but for now, I'm going to lay back, and it's up to you what you do with your feet. You can extend them or you can keep them bent, whatever feels best. And I'm going to start with stretching the strap and peeling my shoulder blades off of the mat. So I'm reaching toward the ceiling, just through my arms though, so my fingertips get closer to the ceiling. I'm stretching the strap, and my shoulder blades are winging off of the mat beneath me. And then I'm going to reverse. I'm going to rewind and pull those arms back down and in. So this is the example. This is the way we want to, this is what we want to feel when we're in downward dog, or when we are weight bearing on our arms. We want to feel this integration. And so we're just using the information from the floor to capture this. So one more time, we're going to press up away. I'm still stretching the strap between my arms. I'm reaching my fingertips up toward the ceiling. So I'm winging my shoulder blades off of the mat. And then I'm going to pull my arms back down and in. And really retract and really feel that setting back down and in of the arms down into the sockets. And then we're going to take this same idea, we're going to go overhead. So overhead my arms go, and now I'm going to reach up and away. So I'm going to take my hands and grow them taller, farther away from my head. I'm reaching my arms out of my sockets. And again, this is our non-example, that we don't want to feel this when we're in downward dog. We want to feel a good stretch, but we don't want it to be this mobile in our shoulder. Instead, retract. So now I'm drawing my arms back down and in. And it's almost as if my shoulder blades are pinching the floor, right? I really feel that traction on the mat. That is the action of the shoulder in downward dog. And then one more time, up and away, up and away. We say, away the hands go. Again, this is the non-example. And then retract. We pull those arms back down into the sockets. I'm still stretching between the strap. And then go ahead, up the arms come. Release the strap. Right, and kind of just observe, right? Like the arms can circle, and we go, it did not seem like a lot of work, but it really is a lot of work in the shoulders to find that shoulder intelligence, right? Kind of put the brain in the shoulders for a minute and really kind of see what's happening. All right, while we're down here, because we're going to find downward dog again in a moment, we're just going to take one quick pass on Supta Padangusthasana. So I'm going to loop my right foot, right hand, right foot, and I'm going to just come back onto my back side, and I'm just going to
extend, right? Left leg extends away. Unless you have some low back issue, you can bend that left leg. But if it's all good, you extend that left leg and we stretch. We press up through the strap. Get a little hamstring stretch here. And just breathe through. Just a couple breath cycles here. Just something to find a little length on the back line of that leg for when we get to downward dog again. Release that strap, lower that leg. Switch sides, so take the left foot, left strap, goes to the ball of the foot, press up. Check your shoulder. I didn't mention it on the other side. I was talking about the floor level leg, right? Keep that floor level leg active, whether it's extended or bent knee, right? There's action in this right leg. Left leg stretches, right? Back of the left leg stretches. Left shoulder integrates into the pose, right? We press that left shoulder blade into the mat on the back side. It's not lifting up and away. It's grounding down into the mat. And we breathe and get that left hamstring stretch. You can release, lower, roll to one side, come on back up. And we're going to take a second pass at downward dog, right? We have this shoulder intelligence that we've just found overhead and out in front of us, right? So we're going to, before we do though, we're going to go take a couple spinal waves. So come to face your mat. We're just going to use these spinal waves as a transitional moment. So knees beneath the hips, palms on the mat, well spread hands. And then as we go through these spinal waves, a lot of times I talk about the tailbone, and for sure we're still interested in the tailbone leading the pose, right? The tailbone tips first as we exhale and we round the spine up toward the ceiling. But I'm really interested in shoulders tonight. So let's be mindful of what the shoulders do in spinal waves. We start with the tailbone, it tips toward the floor. We exhale, exhale, and then we press into those hands. So even while the head drops, there's still space between the ears and the arms, right? We don't just hunch. We press, and we're really intelligent about the space that we have around our arms and our ears. And then we extend ourselves forward, forward, forward. We come. And again, from a shoulder perspective, as we extend ourselves forward, we're also interested in what the shoulders do here. They don't stay static on the body, but we sink into them. Exhale, tailbone tips. Keep exhaling. Press into the hands. Press. You might really feel this line here. This is a really dynamic line in spinal waves. Inhale, tailbone lifts. Yes, we extend the spine forward, but we also we do something with our shoulders. We sink into those shoulders, right? We peel them back onto the back body. One more time. Exhale, rest. Head down. Inhale, tailbone lifts. Spine moves forward and shoulders heel onto the back body. And then go ahead from here. I'm just going to turn my toes to the mat. I'm going to press myself up and back into downward facing dog. I come and I go, oh yeah, my shoulders are awakened. They're intelligent. They know to not be in this place where I'm hunched, but where the arms are not hunched up by my ear, but retracted, right? Breathe through. Go ahead, walk the hands and the feet toward each other. A little pause in Uttanasana, forward fold. And then go ahead, bend the knees and press into the feet. And up we come. We'll pause a moment, right? So if you want to reorient yourself to face forward or in any specific direction, find that orientation and then pause, right? Find those feet well spread on the mat. Pause in Tadasana. And where are the shoulders? Right? We started this practice where they're not migrating to the front body. But they found, right, their plane of movement is side body. And so breathe through this Tadasana, kind of settle into this Tadasana, let the inhale and the exhale, right, exhale grounds us down earthward. Inhale, we find the lift, and we're held in space. Go ahead, release that Tadasana. Now we're going to come back to the belt. I said we would visit this standing, right, what we were doing on the floor. So find your belt. If you adjusted your belt for Supta Padangusthasana, for the hamstring stretch, then, right, I've made my loop a little smaller. I'm going to make it a little wider again. So it's really a true shoulder width. See, I just stretch it and measure and see that it's shoulder width. All right. So now we're going to take the strap again to the forearms. And there's tension on my strap. And the ring, if you have a yoga strap, my ring is not on my skin, right? I don't want it in my skin while I'm stretching and putting tension on the belt. So be mindful about that location. So we're going to stand ourselves into Tadasana, get that nice steady base, and then we're going to inhale the arms forward. And I'm going to turn sideways. You can stay forward, facing forward is fine. But I want you to be able to see, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take my arms. It's as if I'm holding an object, let's say a warm scarf. It's getting cool here in the Northeast. And I'm going to pass it to my friend. But I'm not gonna hinge forward at the hips. It's all through the arms. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna exhale and extend my arms forward. This is our what? Our non-example. This is what we don't want our shoulders to feel like when we're weight bearing on them. It's okay now because we're not bearing weight on them. So I pass this object forward and then I inhale. And I retract my arms back. And it's that same motion that we just had. I'm gonna turn my back to you. It's the same motion we just had in spinal waves, where we sunk into our shoulders, right? And we retracted. Same thing. So reset, and we're gonna exhale. We're not hinging. We're just gonna pass an object to our imaginary friend only by extending our arms out of our shoulders. Non-example. And then we're going to reintegrate. Inhale. Back into the body, the shoulder comes. The arms come back into the body. Take a little break. Release that strap. If you were using it right, you can do this without the strap.
But you get a little bit more information, this extra layer of work and effort and soaking of the muscles and integration into the body, which is really good. So kind of take a little break and go, oh yeah, that was work. And then we have one more motion through the shoulders one more time. Now standing up. We don't have the information of the floor. Now it's like, all right, I took away that layer of information, but I have to still maintain my shoulder intelligence in order to get what's happening here, right? So we're just trying to cement this in our brains, this muscle memory. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna re-stretch the strap, right? Tension on the strap. Tadasana through the lower body, right? I'm nice firm base. Inhale, up we go, overhead. Maybe navigate the tail of your strap. And my arms, my hands, my palms are facing each other. I know they've sort of gone out of frame. I'm gonna back up a little bit so you can see them. And then we're gonna do the same exercise, right? So we're gonna up and away. And lift those arms up, out. Come down so I can get closer. Right, so this is the non-example. This is not what we want our necks and our arms to feel like in downward dog versus the good example, retract, right? We bring those arms back down and in. One more time, up we go. Feels, I'm not going to say it doesn't feel good. It's a nice stretch. But you wouldn't want to be here in downward dog with all this, with the arm extended out of its shoulder joint. So retract, retrace, down we go. Ah, right? And I'm going to turn one more time to the back so you can just see, right? Lifted, non-example, retracted. This is where we want to be in downward dog. Go ahead, arms down, release the strap. Right? Oh, maybe a little bit more motion and mobility. All right, back to our mats. We're going to take one more downward dog. Oh, actually, no, before we do that, we're going to take Retraction 2, Warrior 2, because there is a little shoulder play that's interesting in Warrior 2. So come to your mat, take your nice wide stance, turn your right toes out. Don't forget about the back foot. Those back toes get to turn in a bit, right? So they kind of come around the corner with your hip all in alignment and your knee. And then for Warrior 2, we bend the front knee. Find this place, right, where the knee doesn't go in front of the toes, right? The knee's stacked over the ankle. We check the torso, right? We have this tendency when we go forward, the torso goes with it, so we're gonna rewind that. And then we lift the arms, and what happens when we hoist the arms? We bring the shoulders with them. They come up and away with us. So we're gonna turn our palms toward the ceiling. See what that does to the shoulders. If once we lift, then we turn the palms toward the ceiling. The shoulders roll back and down. And then I'm gonna leave my shoulders here and just face my palms back to the floor. Breathe through. Right? Find this place where though the arms are lifted and extended in Warrior 2, there's still some intelligence in your shoulders. There's still integration of the arm into the body. It's not all just reaching away and lifting up. Back up we come, with arms can come down, press into that front knee and extend it, and then we'll just pivot through the feet. So turn the left toes out, those back toes can turn in a bit. Right, first things first, we bend the front knee, tailbone heads toward the floor. We check the torso, right, because we bent that front knee and we went forward.
maybe the whole torso went that way. Well, we want to rewind that and find, right, this parallel sides of the torso. And then we're going to lift the arms and the shoulders come with them. So we'll turn the whole arm up to face the ceiling. And the shoulders roll down. And then we just flip the palms. And we have this nice integrated place where the shoulders and the arms kind of live, plugged in to the body, even while we extend the fingertips to the left and right. Breathe through. Press into that front leg. Turn all toes forward, step together and pause. All right. Now we'll take a downward dog. Right, so now we have all of this information from the multiple passes through the shoulders. We had the information from the floor about where the shoulders are in space, lifted or integrated. We did it standing. We were in spinal waves. We found this down and back nature of the shoulders in warrior. So now we're going to take all of that intelligence into downward dog. We're going to start from child's pose, and we're going to start child's pose really wide through the arms. So there's a ton of space between the neck and the arms. And then I'm going to ask you to on spider fingers, walk your arms forward until it's really closed. And then I'm going to ask you to retract your arms, your arms back into your shoulder sockets. So you see all of that? We're going to do that in child's pose so that you are well set to pop up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So go ahead, come to your mat, come down into a child's pose, and go wide through the arms. And you can be popped up on your fingertips if you'd like. So forehead into the mat, wide through the arms. So there's a lot of room between your ears and your arms. Breathe through. And now go ahead, walk those little spider fingers into the middle of your mat. Keep walking, keep walking. It should feel uncomfortable. It should, even if it's how you would normally practice, because of tonight's practice, it should feel a bit odd. If you keep walking until your hands are right next to each other, it should feel really closed off around your ears and neck. And now, retract your arms. I kind of came up away from child's pose a little bit, so I had room to retract my arms in. And now this, right, so my arms are really plugged into my shoulders. My pinkies are actually at the edge of my mat, so it's like Goldilocks, right? It was really wide, it was really close, and now I'm somewhere in the middle, and my arms are integrated. I'm going to come up away from my heels, turn my toes, and press up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right, and be in downward dog in this place where the shoulders know, because they felt it multiple times tonight. They're not reaching away, but they are integrated into the shoulder, which then integrates into the side body all the way up, right, this whole line up to the waistband. And there's room, right? If I move my head to the left and right, it takes there's a little space before my ear hits my arm. Go ahead, walk, hands and feet in. Find your blocks. I'm going to grab both of my blocks. I'm going to turn long ways on my mat and step wide. We're going to take a wide leg forward fold. but we're going to do it with wide blocks. So go ahead, find your distance for wide leg forward fold, and take your blocks nice and wide. And fold forward. Right, and let the hands really rest into the blocks as you fold forward. And it just gives your shoulders this nice, spacious little break. The head can hang, so the back of the neck elongates. And both pinky edges of the feet, right? The pinky edge left and the pinky edge right. Press into the mat, right? Roll into the mat. And go ahead, press into those blocks. Maybe walk them right under your shoulders so you have that good base of support. Heel toe in a little bit. If you were really extended and really took a wide stance, come in a little bit. And then hands to the hips. Inhale. Back up you come. Step those feet together. Last pause in Tadasana, right? Before we head down to Shavasana. Pause here. Release the hold of Tadasana. Move the blocks off to the side. I'm going to come down to my mat. I'm going to take just the supported bridge. I'm going to use my block. Where in the room can I hold it so you can see it? Here. I'm going to take my block and I'm going to use this big flat side to rest the back of my sacrum on it and just be in supported bridge for just a moment before we lengthen out into Shavasana. So I'm going to lay back, walk my feet in a bit, press up, and then take that block. And you really have two options. I would say either low or medium. So if you place it in on the flat side, right on the sacrum, so it's not on my tailbone and it's not up in my spine, but it's right on the back of my sacrum, nice and flat. And then you can let go. Right, really let the weight of your back of your pelvis sink into that block. If you wish it was a little bit higher, you can tip up to that next setting. But if you go there and you don't like it, you like this lower. I feel like for tonight, since we're headed towards Shavasana, I'm going to take this lower approach and just release. Right, breathe through. Let gravity do the work here, right? This is a passive, supported bridge. I'm just finding length along the spine in this kind of suspended place. And then to get the block out, I'm going to just press up high enough to slide the block out. I'm going to roll my spine down from up high to down low. So little by little, I'm going to bring my spine back down to the floor until the tailbone touches. And then from this place, I'm just going to, if you want to grab a blanket or a sweater or an extra prop, find your blanket and slide it in, absolutely do it. But it's nice to get all of that spine on the floor and then just extend the limbs out for Shavasana. So if you're liking that, then just go for that. If you wish that you had other layers or props, go ahead and grab them. And then resettle yourself into Shavasana. to stay just as you are. Settle back, down and in. Let go of all of the holding in your legs so the toes melt off to the left and right at the end of your mat. Let the back of the pelvis really settle evenly into the mat. And all the muscles along the back that found purchase on the mat as you roll down to the floor. Let all of those muscles go. Really feel like they get smudged, or the line between your back body and the earth gets a bit soft. Soften the back of your skull into your blanket or into your mat. Soften the features of your face. Unhinge your jaw and let your tongue sink back into its root. Let your brain settle back in the direction of the earth, down and into Tadasana. As we come back from Tadasana, come back through the breath first, leaving the body in stillness. Let the awareness of the breath spread from the lungs out through the limbs to the hands and the feet. And when you're ready, bend one knee, drawing your foot in to rest on the mat. Bending your other knee. Bend your elbows and bring the hands to rest on the torso.
And then when you're ready, roll to one side. Pause a moment. Rounding through your back. Relishing a moment in this first and original pose. When you're ready, press into the floor, bringing yourself back up to sitting. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Feel as you inhale the lift of the sternum, the spread of the collarbones, and the seating of the shoulders. In gratitude and shoulder intelligence. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. Always a treat to teach on Tuesday night. I hope also a treat to practice. Thanks for your support. And if you joined and were with us and are able, we'd love a donation over on the Assisi Institute, and hopefully soon we'll be together. And until then, stay safe and healthy and well. Thank you.